You think you can touch me and walk away? That was the last thing he heard before the world went silent. My name is Isabella Roca, and that night, I just wanted to drink a moment of quiet in a city that never stopped breathing. The air in Rio was thick and sticky, the kind of heat that made tempers short. I found a small bar off of Avenida Brasil, half lit, half forgotten. The kind of place where the jukebox hummed through static, and people drank to erase the day. I wasn't there for trouble. I'd seen enough of that in my 20 years with the Brazilian Army's elite AFE unit missions that never existed. Names that never made the news. Tonight, I was just a woman in a white tank top and jeans, sitting at the counter with a glass of cachaça, trying to remember what peace felt like. Then they walked in. 3 men, loud, leather vests, patched with the words, Lobos, to ask. The locals shrank when they saw them. I didn't tea. Their leader, Rogerio Boy, Andrade, was built like a wall, with a smirk that said he'd broken too many laws to care. He leaned on the counter beside me, his breath thick with alcohol. What's a woman like you doing here alone, Gata? I ignored him. He slammed his palm down, rattling my glass. I asked you a question. I looked up slowly and said, walk away. He laughed, and when I didn't smile, his face changed. You think you're too good for me? The bar fell quiet. Then he slapped me. The sound cracked through the room like thunder. His friends laughed, clapping him on the back. I didn't move right away. I just breathed once, steady. Then I caught his wrist, twisted, and drove his weight to the floor in one motion. The laughter died. He gasped, clutching his wrist as I crouched beside him. Touch another woman like that again, I said softly, and I'll make sure you never use that hand again. I left money on the counter and walked out. The night air outside was heavy, but cooler than the heat inside. I thought it was over. It wasn't. When I reached my apartment in Vila Isabel, red spray paint screamed across my garage door. Você vai pagar. You will pay. I didn't panic. I cleaned it quietly. Fear only grows if you feed it. But I knew he'd come back. The next morning at the Veterans Center, I ran since leaving the army. Tiago, my right hand, looked up from fixing the coffee machine. Heard about the Lobos? He said. They control this area. Even the police won't touch them. I smiled. Then we will. That night, engines roared outside the center. 5 bikes. Headlights cutting through the dark. Rogério's voice echoed. Come out, mulherzinha. Time to apologize. Tiago tensed. We should call the police. No, I said. We'll handle it our way. I stepped outside unarmed. You came to finish what you started, I asked. He grinned. To remind you who runs this city. I tilted my head. Not anymore. From the shadows, 2 of my veterans emerged, both former Polícia Militar cameras recording every face, every plate, every weapon. Rogério? Froze? By dawn. The footage was everywhere on WhatsApp. On Globo. Tagged, Justice. Within 2 days, the Lobos were done. Guns, drugs, victims all found. Rogério was arrested, snarling that I hadn't won. I told him, you lost the moment you raised your hand. Now when I walk through Vila Isabel, the graffiti is gone, the air lighter. Kids play in the street again. Sometimes at night, when engines echo faintly in the distance, I still hear that slap, that silence that followed, and I smile, because justice in Brazil may be slow, but when it comes, it shakes the ground like thunder. The morning after Rogerio's arrest, Rio felt different. The air was still thick and heavy, but for the first time in years, it wasn't with fear. The news spread fast, headlines calling it a night of true justice. Reporters camped outside the Veterans Center, cameras flashing as if they had just discovered that heroes could come in the form of ordinary people. I stayed inside, quiet, watching from the window as the city talked about me like I was some legend. But I wasn't a hero. I was tired. Tired of men like Rogerio, of systems that looked the other way, of streets that had forgotten what safety meant. Still, deep inside, there was a peace I hadn't felt in years. I'd fought wars overseas, but this one, the one for my own home, meant something more. The Veterans Center became a symbol overnight. People who used to cross the street when they saw me now stopped to shake my hand. Mothers brought food. Kids painted murals with the words Justica de Verdade across the outer wall. Even the local police chief came to apologize for oversights that had let the Lobos run unchecked. I didn't answer him. I just nodded. Forgiveness was never the point. Accountability was. 2 weeks later, I stood in court as Ruggiero faced the judge. His arrogance was gone. His leather vest replaced by a plain orange uniform. He refused to look at me. The judge listed his crimes: extortion, assault, trafficking, corruption, and sentenced him to 25 years without parole. The courtroom was silent except for the sound of my heartbeat. It wasn't victory I felt. It was closure. When it was over, Tiago and I walked out into the morning light. He smiled at me, eyes weary but proud. "You did it," he said. "No," I replied softly. "We did." Months passed. The Veterans Center grew, not just in walls, but in purpose. We began training local women in self-defense, teaching teenagers discipline through martial arts, helping ex-soldiers find honest work. The same streets that once echoed with engines now rang with laughter and music. Every weekend I watched the kids play football where the Lobos once parked their bikes. Sometimes I'd sit on the steps at sunset, listening to the city breathe. Life had come back. One evening, a young woman approached me, no more than 20. "You don't know me," she said, "but I saw your story. You made me believe that justice is possible here." I smiled, feeling something shift inside me. Maybe that was the real victory. Not the arrests, not the headlines, but the belief that fear could be replaced with hope. As the sun dipped below the rooftops of Rio, painting the sky gold and red, I thought about everything that had happened: the slap, the silence, the courage it took to stand up again. Justice in Brazil doesn't come easy. It crawls through the mud, it bleeds, it fights to be seen. But when it finally arrives, it shines bright, relentless, unstoppable. I closed the door of the center behind me, the words Justica de Verdade glowing faintly in the streetlights, and whispered to myself, for every woman who refuses to bow, for every voice they tried to silence, we are still here. And for the first time in a long time, I truly believed it.